Right, so next up for finishing touches for the interior is a new steering wheel. That awful steering wheel that's been on it since I've had it has been past its best. It's very, I gave it a clean, but it was so damaged and dirty that I took some of the finish off trying to clean it. So I've got a cheap second-hand leather steering wheel. That plastic bit here needs to be refinished, but I'll just pop that off and spray it up with some of the silver trim that I did the air vents and other panels, other silver trim in, so that will match up inside. There's some wear here and there, but I've got plenty of colour and lacquer left from when I did the leather interior. More than enough to do this steering wheel, so yeah, a few little bits there where it's worn, a little bit of a light sand, recolour it, re-lacquer it, and this will turn out pretty much good as new. And I'll take the existing airbag off the old steering wheel and chuck it in the middle. Yeah, so this has seen better days, but this will turn out pretty good. With some recolouring and re-lacquering, this will turn out pretty good. If not, showroom condition. So that's the next plan. Right, start it off. A little bit of a Scotch-Brite pad and some sugar soap left over when I did the seats. I'll give this a good once over and get all this surface grease off and all the ingrained muck in here and tidy it up a little bit and see what we've got. Right, well, a 5-minute scrub with some sugar soap, and that's the state of the sink. Now, how much of this is just dirt and grease that's come off, and how much is actually the black dye from the leather where parts of the lacquer have been worn through, I don't know. That's quite a lot for such a small piece of leather. So I suspect maybe some of the dye has started to come off where there's the lacquer from on the leather has been worn through, but that's alright, I'm going to redo it anyway. So another nice little clean, and then I'll put some conditioner on it and let it soak for a week or two before I start doing the recolouring. Okay, so all clean, nice matte surface now where all the grease and gunk has come off of it. This looks better already, just even with a good clean, but you can see now where that Scotch-Brite pad probably didn't help that, but it needed a good scrub, so that was a necessary evil. So there is a little bit of remedial work to do here. Not quite sure I'm going to get rid of that, to be honest, but I'll do my best. And there was some more here, bits of wear along there. Again, how I'm going to sand that without sanding back the perforations, I don't know, but it should come out okay. I'll do a little bit more research. Yeah, along here there's where this is the worry here. That's right on the face of the steering wheel. You look at it all the time, so that's really going to need to be got rid of, but I'm hoping some sanding will sort that out. Don't really want to fill it because I'll end up with really sort of conspicuously smooth patches where there's no grain. But then sanding might make it all very smooth anyway, so who knows. I think as long as I can get rid of that roughness, that will have to do. But even just with a good wash and got that awful shininess off, that's helped. The little silver bits popped off of there okay. And it's got a good wash at the back. So yeah, now next up, a little bit of leather conditioner and then put it in a bin liner, same as I did with the interior, and let the conditioner soak in for a week. Yeah, so we're not being shy, just chucking it on, not even really rubbing it in, just making sure it's covered. And then in the bin liner, because I don't know when this was last moisturised. I mean, maybe not ever. So, bit of pre-care to get it pre-moisturised before we start drying it out with the solvents to get all the lacquer off. This will do, and then in the bin liner, that'll help. Yeah, can't recommend this stuff highly enough. Auto Blim, absolutely wicked. Right, it's been a couple of days. That's been soaking. It's had a bit more of that leather balm on it, and this has now got a shine on it, and it feels greasy. So that's had as much as it can take. So I'm going to say that is moisturised now and can be worked on. Definitely needs some sanding. But yeah, it's got that. It's got a shine that indicates to me that that's taken up a lot of the oil from that balm and is nicely moisturised. So we're going to do the easy bit first. We're going to spray this bit up. They just sat there, and then we'll start on the leather. But this bit first, because hopefully it shouldn't take too long. And we'll get into a nice shiny silver. Right, well, there's a bit of sanding, it's a bit of 400 grit and a bit of panel wipe, just to put a bit of the key on. So now we'll prime it, and then a bit of silver, and then a bit of lacquer. Hopefully this will turn out alright. Oh, there's a few coats of grey primer, and the question is to sand or not to sand. When I did the plastic trim for the centre console, when I went to stand the primer up, it kept burning through, and because it's such an awkward shape, I don't know whether it may be just worth just going straight on with the colour, although is there a little, maybe a very light bit of 1200. Yeah, maybe, but just very light, because I don't want to sand the silver. So if it does need knocking back a little bit, it's probably best to do it now. There it is. Yeah, okay, maybe a very light bit of 1200. Alright, so this has dried off and it's had a very light sanding of 1200. Just a bit of wet and dry, just really light, just to put a tiny bit of a key on it, and now it's going to be a bit of a wipe down with some panel wipe, and then on with the silver. Well, that's about 3 coats of clear coat on there, and I think that will do. Don't see any runs. Yeah, I think that'll do. I'm not gonna polish it because I don't want to start burning through the clear coat. I think that'll do. That'll look alright on the bottom of that steering wheel. Right, time now to take the old lacquer off. Got some leather prep solvent remover, so we'll just pour a bit into that. Might get a bit of tissue actually and put that in there, and then we'll just scrub around here and take all the old lacquer off and see how this looks. I did put it through one-handed, so I'll just get on with it, and we'll see once all the lacquer's off if this actually looks a little bit better, and see how much of this wear is the lacquer that's peeled and how much is the leather. I think some of it is definitely the leather. There's definitely some filling going to be necessary, but it might look a little bit better once the old lacquer was all off. So we'll get on with that now. Okay, so that didn't take long at all for that to go completely black. So I think there was very little lacquer left on that, to be honest. And it's it's a bit hard to see. It's quite contrasty light today, but there we go. You can see where that's gone quite bobbly already. So I think that leather was very, very fragile. And again, there we go. So I'm pretty confident there's no lacquer left on that, and it just needs to be smoothed down. And then a bit of filling. This bottom bit's not too bad. So yeah, I think this is obviously where the grip is, where someone's gripped it. So this is where the majority of the wear is. So we'll put a lot of that leather binder on it. Once we've flattened this back a little bit, we'll give it a good gun over with the leather binder. Up here is going to definitely need some filling. So we're on the way at least. Well, that's been sanded all the way along there. And you can still feel that there's a little bit of grain. And along here, again, I've sanded and sanded and sanded. And you can still see that there's some marks there, but if I keep sanding, I'm going to end up sanding out the perforations, which I don't want to do. So it's a question of knowing when to call it quits, I think. And there's a little difference in texture still. And again here, oh yeah, this definitely needs to be doing a bit more on this side, I think. When it's all recoloured, that'll hide it, I think, to a certain extent. So I don't think I'll be able to get this as if it was 100% brand new. Oh, down here needs some more work. That's quite rough still. So yeah, a little bit more, but I think it's just going to be a judgment call here. Do I go try and make this feel smoother and risk losing the perforations, or do I hope that by the time I've coloured it and lacquered it, that will help hide it? Down here definitely needs more. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Better than when it turned up, and certainly better than the one that's on it currently. Right, skewer from the kitchen just into all of these where they're a bit sanded down, and so we'll just have to see how they turn out. I think, judging by the ones on the back, that's probably not far off being the right size. So yeah, okay, this will do. Let's see if we can make this look a little bit better. I'm not going to film doing this because it will take forever and it's going to be boring. So I'm just going to crack on with it and see how it turns out. And I think enlarging these holes is definitely going to help make it look a bit less worn by the time I've put lacquer on, recoloured it and put some lacquer on. I still think you're going to see here where the finish is different. I don't know that the lacquer's going to hide that, but I think the poking the holes through is gonna definitely help. We'll find out when it's all done, but I'm optimistic anyway at the moment. Right, I didn't intend to. I just thought I'd do the ones where it was visibly very faded, but what I've ended up doing is just re-poking more or less every single perforation all the way around the wheel. Will that make it look a bit better by the time it's sprayed and recoloured? I hope so. Does it look better even just now? I think it might. It certainly helped hide the bits where there's a little bit of rough finish still. I don't know actually. Have I made them too big? Took long enough. Well, we'll see. Okay, so now we've taken the old lacquer off, we've done the sanding, we've done the reperforation of the side bits. We've sanded this as I think as best as it's going to be, although it does still feel maybe slightly rough, but that's had 5,000 grit on it and it's as good as I think I can do it. So next up now is alcohol cleaner, just to get oils off the leather, so no more touching it with bare skin. And then we'll put this stuff on. This is leather binder, which you put on before spraying, and it will apparently help strengthen the leather fibres. So where I've enlarged the holes here, and where this is sanded, it's a bit weaker, and where this is going to have contact the whole time you drive in the car, it is going to wear. So let some leather binder soak in overnight before I start spraying tomorrow. But first off, alcohol cleaner to get any oils off. Right, spraying day. It's been masked up, sort of. It's good enough. I need to go once over it with some more alcohol, just to get some bits of dust off. And then I can start. You can see already. I don't think that's gonna disappear permanently. Yeah, no, actually could do with some more sanding. Maybe I'll do that quickly before I start spraying. But the sides and the rest haven't really come out too badly, I don't think. These are wiped down. Yeah, definitely need some more on that top bit there, I think. Right, the first layer has gone on. You can just pour some of this onto a sponge and sort of wipe it around and push it into the grain and that sort of thing, and then give it 15 minutes to dry. I've just done that, and it'll be a little bit streaky, but that is to be expected apparently. I did just have another little quick whip round of 5,000 grit just on that top bit there, and I think that probably has helped. It did need a little extra bit. There's some in there where I think it's still going to be a little bit rough, but the worn bits around the edge I think will look quite good. So I just got to let this sit for 15 minutes and then I'll airbrush it. 2 coats of the airbrush and then dry it up and then some lacquer. Right, second coat going on now, so I've just used the compressed air from this furniture killing it kit, heat it up a little bit with a heat gun. There's a little airbrush, and you just spray it on a bit at a time. Like that. The can needs heating up every so often to keep pressure in it, otherwise it goes very cold and then you lose pressure. So I need to keep adjusting that. So it's a little bit hard to do with one hand, but this is the general idea anyway. Right, well, 3 coats of paint and about 3 or 4 coats of half gloss, half matte lacquer, and it's done. The silver bit of trim's back in. Needs to cure for a day or 2 before I can start using it. The only bit that didn't come out brilliantly was this little bit here, which I was worried about right from the beginning. Yeah, I probably just should have sanded that a little bit more. About the bit at the top where it had another little bit of 5000 grit and some of that liquid filler. That's helped that out. Around the side where the lacquer was peeling and coming loose, that's all nice and uniform. And again on the other side. Really, not going to complain too much about that. And that little bit there could have done with a bit more work, but that's the only real blemish of any significance. By the time the airbag's in and that's in the car, bearing in mind what's there at the minute is awful, this really isn't going to look out of place at all. It will look quite nice. Yeah, that's took a little bit of a while, took a little bit of a long time, but I think I'm happy with that really, on balance. Just have to try not to look at that bit when I'm driving. But yeah, that really has come out okay. Right, I'm happy with that. Alright, in the car. It's finally time to swap this to this. Yeah, big improvement, hopefully. It's blowing a gale outside, there's wind everywhere. Once the steering wheel's off, I'm going to get in there and polish those dials because there's scratches and stuff all over them. So this is a fiddly job by all accounts, so I'm not going to try and film this. I'm just going to stick my screwdrivers underneath here where they're supposed to go to get this wheel off, and I'll get the airbag out and then start unbolting the centre boss. Right, step one. That was harder than I was led to believe. This thing here, this sort of weird kind of U-shaped thing, you really need to push hard. There's a thing, little hole just underneath here, bottom of the steering wheel, you shove up, but you really have to push it hard, and it, there you go, as you're pushing, there you go, you can see it moving. So anyway, right, that's that done. Now I've got to figure out how this looks, and this green one goes onto the centre. And the red one goes on the side somewhere here. Yeah, okay, looks like I've got one of them. Alright, it's just a question of taking a picture and duplicating it when the old one goes in. Alright, we'll give the little airbag module a clean, and a bit of Maguire's cleaner there, and well done, and some detailer which is just going to soak on and sink in a little bit. Put some protectant, UV protectant back. It just sits in full sun all the time, so it wouldn't hurt to give that a little spray and let that sink in for a little bit. Steering wheel's off, so now it's a little bit of a polish of the gauge cluster. Yeah, polishing the gauge cluster time. Who doesn't love a Dremel? And a little bit of polishing. Got some polishing wheels in here. Got some compound. So if I can get it in there, I'm just going to go over those gauges because they're all scraped and I've never liked the look of them. Yeah, I don't actually know how well this is showing up, but these are really scuffed and scratched. There we go. So what I'm going to be able to do with these, I don't know. I don't know if Dremel is the best thing to use. I'm hoping this little polishing wheel and some paste just on a relatively low speed, so 10-15,000, because these are plastic. I don't want them to melt. But if I can get in there, can I even get in there? Yeah, maybe just a little bit, maybe. Yeah, maybe just a light going over. I'll do a small bit first and see what happens. Yeah, it's difficult to get the angle. There it is. Yeah, you can see how scratched they are. So I don't know if this is going to work or not, but while the steering wheel's off, it seems like a good as time as any to try and do something. A little bit of paste, low speed, 5,000. Is this going to do something? Is it going to make it worse? I don't know. What I could do with 2 hands, just so I can see what I'm doing. Has that made any difference? Oh, it needs a good... No. None at all. Matter of fact, that has made it worse. Okay, maybe a Dremel's too much or that's too abrasive. Maybe a softer pad. Okay, well, plan B. Right, so the Dremel and that compound was too heavy duty. But some Meguiar's very light polish and a microfiber towel, just doing it by hand, just getting some on a corner and rubbing it in circles. He's doing a better job, I think. Definitely got the hazing off that's caused by the Dremel anyway. So yeah, I think it's going to take a while, but I think this is probably a better way of doing it than the Dremel. I think that's too heavy duty. So I think actually the ideal combination is this Meguiar's polish on the end of a soft Dremel bit. I mean, it's flicking everywhere. But doing it by hand is going to take forever. And I think this is a decent combo. I just have to be careful not to get the metal head of the bit anywhere near the plastic of the gauge, because that'll put me right back to square one. Let's see how we're looking. Yeah, that's definitely better. Another once or twice round, I think, with that, and that'll look alright. I've done the other side using the same combo, and that's definitely taken the edge off those scratches. I think there'll still be some if you catch it at the right angle in the sun, but I think that's better than it was. Yeah, okay, that's a good job. Right, I'm calling that good enough. And there's still some scratches a little bit when you catch it at the right angle, but by and large that is a massive improvement on what was there. So I can live with that, I think. Yeah, so it turns out Dremel on about 10,000 revs, small polishing head and some Meguiar's polish was just about the right combo to take 90% of those surface scratches off of those little plastic screens. So yeah, that'll do nicely. Right, Boom, all on. Nice shiny gauges, nice polished centre boss, nice leather steering wheel, almost perfect. Blemish there which I didn't get out, but yeah, more than good enough. Quite happy with it. Now all I've got to do is turn the battery back on and make sure nothing explodes. So fingers crossed.